Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. My mic lever is moving, so that means I'm not on mute. Apologies for the slight delay. You just can't rush a good cuppa. Welcome to Distributed Tea Time. Today we have Bilal sitting in for Rob as they are coming back from a different event, probably dropping some cockroach knowledge. Um, you look confused, Bilal. Are you okay?
I'm okay. Yeah, sorry. I was muting the stream in the background because that got started.
Oh, oh yeah, because it's a little delayed. Yeah.
Yes,
So why don't you introduce yourself? You're probably new to a lot of these people, except for Jay.
yes. Hello, Jay. I see Jay is up and early as well, but who is up and early more than Jay? That's our attendees, or UBC attendees,
Mm,
who build the best use of CockroachDB at Hack the North. Anyway, Adrian asked me to introduce myself. I have been at Cockroach Labs for several years now, but I'm an alum from Waterloo, which is where Hack the North hails from. I've been to almost every Hack the North and seen like hundreds of projects at this point, and this is one of the most impressive uses of CockroachDB I've seen. And I think Adrian has said that this is the best use of CockroachDB he's seen. But anyway, when I'm not at hackathons, I'm working with log structured merge trees and dealing with disks and that sort of fun stuff. So
yeah.
it's a
And
Friday.
and your name is?
Bilal.
Do you want to say your last name?
Akhtar. It's okay if you cannot pronounce
Okay.
it.
Well, it helps people if they hear it out loud. So yeah, thank you for coming on, stepping in for Rob. I thought this would also be great because you have such a history with University of Waterloo and this hackathon. I figure you're probably one of the reasons that we attended. Probably like that, and we have like a billion interns and new grads, and now other people who have come from the University of Waterloo through our internship program and new grad program. So, um, just a little bit of background: we do have a hackathon sponsorship program here at CockroachDB that I run. During the spring and the fall, we try to target, one, because we're a small team, we try to target one hackathon a month to go to, be present at. We do a workshop to teach people how to use SQL because, as it turns out, like it's an elective and not everybody takes it. So we put together a fun workshop that teaches you how to use SQL by implementing um, username and password authentication in a Python backend React front end app. So for a lot of people, that's like a great start to their project that they're going to be doing over the weekend. We also offer the a prize for the best use of CockroachDB, so that's why we're going to be talking to the Broomies team here soon. But that consists of a special trophy that we'll show you here in a minute, and also a $100 gift card to Amazon. And then we also bring recruiters. To take information about internships, say it, just a lot of different things. So we're there to kind of help the future developers that might go work for either us or some of our customers. So yeah, so that's our hackathon program. Um, we don't want to keep them waiting any longer, but we do want to. If there's anything else that we did, we want to talk about. But let's go ahead and bring them onto the screen. Now, this is going to be the most people that I have had on the stream um, ever. So there's going to be six of us. If things get a little grainy, if things don't work, bear with us because this is the first time. So I'm excited. So welcome most of the people from Broomies, and if the other person shows up, they'll pop in on the screen. Until then, hello, guest five. So if you'd like, let's go ahead and in the order that you're kind of there, just go ahead and introduce yourself. So Dennis.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me? Yep, we're
Yep.
good. Awesome. Hi, nice to be on the stream. Uh, First time appearance, long time watcher. I am Dennis. I'm a fourth year at UBC, studying a dual major in computer science and business. And in terms of Broomies, I built the front end of the application.
Nice. So the front end and
Yeah.
Expo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we'll get more into that in a bit. Rustum.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, perfect. My name is Rustam. I'm a fourth-year computer science student at University of British Columbia, and happy to be here. And even though it's 6 a.m., it's quite early for us, but happy to be here. And for Broomies, I mostly worked on backend, which is in Go, and use a CockroachDB.
All right, hello, I'm Gordon. Nice to meet you all. This is also my first time being on a live stream and like a podcast-esque environment, so kind of nervous, but all good. So I'm actually going into my last year at UBC. I'm majoring in combined major in science, so I'm combining three things. So that's chemistry, earth and environmental science, and lastly, computer science. And then I created the designs for this project in Figma.
That's just a lot. Like, I did everything I could out of my chemistry class, and my designs are basic to say the least. And then we have Isaac, who may or may not show up. Again, it's 6 a.m. for them. This is truly a distributed tea time. I believe, Bilal, you're also in the East Coast time, like myself. And we typically have it this early so we can hit the UK, which is where my colleague Rob normally is. But this just shows you that in the world we live in today, like, it never stops. We're distributed. You need to make sure things are up all the time. So we thank you for coming on. Next time I will consider, if we need to like push this back for special episodes like this. But yeah, so you mentioned Broomies. Broomies won the best use of CockroachDB, and I'll switch over, I believe, let me make sure my stuff is up here. So I'll switch over real quick while we're chatting about that into our little, almost Brady Bunch scene here, but this is what we took after we awarded this wonderful trophy. So this is something new that we started doing. Our very own Bob Walter has a machine shop and created this trophy for us. So the next time he builds one for us, I'm going to have him take some B-roll because everyone is fascinated about how this was created. So that's a cockroach in resin with our logo etched in the back. And then we just turned it into a little trophy. And it's quite popular. I think it got 76,000 impressions on Twitter. Went kind of viral in Japan. They don't like cockroaches, I understand. But yeah, so I guess let's start with an easy first question. Where is your trophy? Like, what have you done with your trophy?
I can go first. Well, my trophy right now is sitting in my car. Basically, I drive a lot of people. I'm kind of like an Uber driver, so like not really, but basically. So it's a cool thing to show people. So yeah, it's just sitting on my dashboard right now. But I'll probably move inside for the health of the cockroach and the resin. But
I kind of like that, like the cockroach trophy is like the dashboard Jesus. You should definitely tweet or Instagram or something a photo like that. I'm sure our social media guy would love to see it. How about who's next?
I can go next. For me, it's just sitting on the shelf so far. It's a fun piece of memorabilia to show to everybody who comes to my place. And you know what I brought from Waterloo? I brought a cockroach. The best award ever. And it's for sure a conversation starter.
How about you, Gordon?
Yeah, so mine, I don't know if you can see, I have a shelf here, but it's that right there. It's still in the the pocket that it came in. So don't want to scare people off, right? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's been sitting there ever since I got back from Waterloo. So
you don't want the cockroach to escape. Is that why?
Kind of scared, I can't lie. I don't want it to crawl under my bed.
I swear it's encased in resin. It's not getting out. Even with how resilient cockroaches are, they can't survive without air for that long. And who knows how long they were sitting in that Amazon warehouse. So yeah, just real quickly, has anybody gotten any funny reactions from it? Just you don't each have to go, but if you can think of something, and then we'll move on from the trophy. But it's one of my favorite things.
I think reaction wise, I kind of just like telling people that like like not telling them where I got it from and just telling them that like I bought this for fun to put on my car, and I think it's
You bought
maybe
it.
hindered.
You won it. It's a major award.
Yeah, I'll definitely change my approach after this, but after seeing how viral it went in Japan. But
Yeah.
um,
And hopefully you have all claimed and picked out something to use with your gift card that won't scare people away. But if that's what you're into, then go for it. So yeah, so that is the prize. We are getting ready to go to CalHacks, which is at UC Berkeley, but it's hosted at the Metreon in San Francisco, and I have 4 more trophies ready to give out. So that should be also a fun time. They are going 36 hours this year, up from 24. And last year they had a little over 1,000 people. So it'd be another like Hack the North size event. Yeah. I was like, oh, trying to pull words out of the air. I rehearsed this. I promise. But yeah, and then also just while I'm on my screen, I will show you. We debuted our Cockroach Labs Hack Pack this year. This is our resource that we put out that we're hoping more people will take a look at. So we want to make it really easy for hackers to get started to use CockroachDB. As I've done these hackathons, I've kind of seen when people use other databases, and I try to ask why, and they're like, oh, it's because we need full text search, or it's because we need geospatial data, or it's because we need this or that. And I'm like, oh, well, we have that. And so this is a page where we try to highlight, right now it's called Cool Features, but we have, the different features of CockroachDB, and I'm trying to write them in such a way that they will resonate with the hackathon users. So, we've got geo-partitioning data, row-level TTL, streaming data using CDC, CockroachDB as a document database. So we do have a lot of support for storing JSON. Full text search, that's new as of 23.1, I believe, right, Bilal? He's just like, yep.
Wait, full text search or sorry, which one is
The full text
oh,
search.
geospatial?
Full text search.
I think that's been there for a bit longer, but full text indexing might be
full
like
text.
22 dot something.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And I know we had like inverted trigram indexes before that, but it's possible. Yeah, working with geospatial data, we have that ability. And then we just pointed out intelligent insights, which if you are a CockroachDB user, you should really check it out because it's a tab on the Cloud Console. I think it's also in the regular version, the self-deployed version, but it will tell you if you need to drop an index, create an index, so it gives you insights about how you're using your workload. Pretty cool.
That is new.
That is new. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we wanted to give that information. We put out information about our challenge that we have, another picture of the trophy, because why not? Like I said, we give a workshop, and one way we entice people to try to do our workshop is we give them a special edition CockroachDB Hackathon shirt. And so here is this one. It is kind of like the Voltron of stuff you bring to hackathons. That's kind of like what the inspiration was. And so we got information about where you can find it and things like that. Did you guys go to the workshop? Yeah. You got that? You got the shirt?
yeah,
Yep.
I can bring it.
You don't have to go get it. It's fine.
Okay.
And then also we have information about our careers. If any recruiters are on site, and then generally just where to go get help. So this is evolving, like most things at CockroachDB. You can see our on-site team, who on our on-site team is an alum, and then other places that you can go and get help. So, like I said, just something new that we're doing for hackathons. There's going to be one for each hackathon that we go to, but then also there's going to be like there is a more generalized version of this for anybody who happens to be at any hackathon to come here and get information. So that's pretty cool. So that's something I wanted to shout out. Now let's talk about Broomies. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to share your screen? I'd love to hear, or I believe people at home would love to hear, what is Broomies to begin with. So who wants the screen?
I can start off. Yeah, I'll start off with a little intro. Basically, Broomies is a mobile app created to help facilitate anonymous and fair chore assignment among roommates. So users can earn points for completing chores, and they can also track household expenses. So these points are actually used to determine kind of the monthly expense split among roommates, which promotes timely chore completion. And then, yeah, it was awarded the best use of CockroachDB serverless at Hack the North. Super stoked about that. But yeah, moving on, I'll kind of talk a bit more about the problem and the inspiration that came about the idea. So when we were brainstorming, the idea kind of came up when we kind of all found out similar roommate experiences over time, over the years. So whether
Sorry,
that
are you sharing a screen or?
Oh, I'm not.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm on the right thing.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
But yeah, so whether that be living on residence or just living around the area on campus, we've kind of come to the consensus that like all of us have had our fair share of living with roommates, and it wasn't the greatest. And so we kind of, from that, wanted to talk more about the idea and kind of figure out where we want to go with that. So we saw that, roommates as students is a cost-effective choice, and it's oftentimes really enjoyable when the idea is like, you want to live with your best friend, living on campus away from home first time. A lot of the responsibilities and challenges that come with it kind of like go over our heads in a sense. So we don't think about that too much. But again, when you're living with people, there's a lot of challenges in terms of organizing like responsibilities and holding everyone accountable and all that. So basically it gets really messy because nobody knows what they're doing at the end of the day, and then it creates kind of like conflict. So now I'll kind of go over more of the ideation and the thought process when it came to designing the app. So
how about we do this? Can we go ahead and do a demo? So let's do a demo, and then we'll kind of talk about the different parts of it, and
okay, for sure,
and the ideation,
Yeah,
and
sure.
things like that. But just to follow up on the introduction.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Yeah, this is the. Let me just make sure the screen works here. Okay, awesome. Yeah, we'll open up the app here. This is just my locally hosted environment. Basically what we worked on at the hackathon. At the start, you'll be approached with this login screen here. And let me just log in real quick.
Yeah, and first reaction, I thought this was just a Figma whenever you first showed it, and I believe I asked, I was like, is this the app? And they're like, yeah. So
yeah,
really nice job, guys.
Give props to Gordon there for the beautiful designs.
Yeah.
But yeah, right away, when you see this is our home screen here, you can see a lot of like cool graphs and info. And just a brief overview for the month that you're in. Each roommate has a point total, and the points, which I'll go more in depth into later, are gained off of the chores completed, as well as like the difficulty of each chore, which I'll also get into later. And then the current top performer, which in this case is me, is displayed on the home screen here, so you can kind of track who's the best roommate and also who's been either doing their chores or who's been not doing their chores.
Okay, I'm gonna break in here for a minute. Just
Yeah.
FYI, as we get questions in the chat, I'll break in and ask them when I
awesome.
see fit. So we had a question. What did you use for the auth?
Yeah, for the auth here right now, we just have let me go back here. So we have the two like sign in with Google and sign in with Facebook. We haven't implemented the SSOs yet.
Okay.
Hopefully we'll do so in the future, but in the hackathon we didn't have time.
Oh,
So
no
we just
worries.
had them here as like boilerplates. But for this one here, it's just a simple like email auth.
Okay.
And then the password is just for the sake of time at the hackathon, we didn't want to like have the auth, like we didn't want to spend like maybe like 2-3 hours working on authentication and making sure everything works and not being able to finish like the bulk of the project.
No.
So for the auth, we just have a simple email authentication, and the password is not even secured because it's on local environment.
Okay.
So it's just a password, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you know, in the future you can update
In the future,
your
we're-
backend to,
yeah.
to do the OAuth exchange and all of that.
Yeah, the auth exchange. Yeah,
But like
we were
I don't
like
blame
halfway
you.
through working on it. Yeah, we were like halfway through Google Auth, I think, and then we like realized like oh shoot, like we haven't finished notifications, and then we just moved on. But
Yeah, that's a common mistake that a bunch of hackathon participants make, which is spend half the hackathon just figuring out auth, and it's good that you like time boxed it and we're like, no, it's time to move on to what
Yeah.
you're actually working on.
That's why I wrote That's why I wrote the workshop like I did.
I remember. I think you specifically brought that up, and I was like, it's good insight, and we put it into
but
practice.
it's good that you didn't waste a lot of time because Google changed the way that they do their auth for like dev and testing, and so it would have really limited you anyway. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so continuing on the bottom here, you can see an overview of the chores that you've currently been assigned, just as a quick overview, and then also notifications of specific chores that have been completed by other roommates or created. And then moving on to the next screen, here you'll get a breakdown of all the chores that need to be completed for the week, as well as how many points they're worth, which these chores here are broken down by like weekdays. So you can see here the weekdays. And then they're also, again, like Gordon mentioned, distributed evenly among housemates automatically every week. So that kind of hassle is managed for you. That way, like nobody's taking on too much work. And also everyone has like kind of the equal chance to earn points. And
Yeah,
then
we'll talk more about that after whenever
let's
we
say
get into how
here,
you're using Cockroach.
yeah, you can see here there's some chores here that are in progress, like this one here, testing chores. I think this is the test one here, but let's say I've completed a chore here. I can just check it off right here, and once it's checked off, it's updated for all roommates, as well as for the point totals here, so my point total increased. And then moving on here, we can also create a new chore. When we create a new chore, we'll assign the chore a title. And also like a frequency that chore occurs. So for example, let's do a chore that I think like a lot of roommates start off being like, oh, let's do this, which is cooking. Like let's say like allergies, no milk, and then we'll do like a little like icon here, cooking icon, cooking emoji. Okay, sick. And then we'll set a frequency for this. So you can do any sort of like weekly frequencies, like every 3 days, maybe we'll split the cooking. And this is quite a hard task. So we'll change the point total to maybe 100. And then we'll just press create here. So it's successfully added. And then on the chores here, you can see, let's go down to cooking. Realize now that we have sorted in the wrong day order, which we will change. But you can see here, cooking's been assigned already. Gordon's cooking on Monday next week. Rustam is cooking on Wednesday, and etc. So after this, we can actually...
for the chores, are they all recurring, or are you able to do one-off chores?
Yeah, so the chores are distributed right now in a recurring factor because usually they're bi-weekly chores like take out the trash or pay rent, et cetera, which we just kind of decided as our main, like as a business like user flow.
Sure.
One-off chores definitely also are in the works. It should be, we hope to just have like a section setting here that's like one-off, right? But
because
right
it'd be
now,
nice if you were like
mostly
throwing a
recurring.
party and you had some extra tasks that you need to assign out before that happens. Yeah, cool.
And then we'll just kind of test the user flow here. So let's say that we're Gordon, and then we can just sort of log into Gordon's account here, which I have the password to, which I wouldn't recommend doing.
Sharing
Wait,
your
Gordon, is your last
password.
name
You're gonna go and
W-O?
undo some of his checks, some of his tasks, so you can get more points.
Yeah, I think I got
Also that three-character password, love it.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend having that either. But okay,
Hackathon
so we're
security,
moving on
it's
here.
fine.
Yeah, at the chores here. So let's say where he just finished cooking. So we'll check it off here, and then we'll show off what's I think we're pretty proud of is being able to implement also like notification features. So let's just go back to my account here. So Gordon completed the chore, and you can see here it's been updated, and you'll also get in the bottom here notification at the bottom here, which we need to figure out reset the date order that it's in, but should be at the top. But this is just a way so that you'll know who's completed each chore. And in the future, we want to implement sort of like a review functionality where if you tap on notification, you can kind of review, like saying like, hey, you didn't do a good job of this, or like, hey, you did a really good job. And hopefully that would impact your point total as well. But let's go to what the points are actually for. So here's kind of, I feel like the most fun part about Broomies, and what kind of, I think, made us think like, hey, this idea is actually pretty good. Because rooming and like roommates, it's not just about doing chores, right? You live in a shared environment, but there's also a financial aspect to it, where splitting money, like Gordon said, has always been a hassle as well. And there's things like Splitwise, which kind of make it easier, but it's like not really fun to like ever split things with people when like you kind of know that you've been doing like all of the work in the house. You've been doing all the cooking and cleaning, and when they say they wash the dishes, they just soak it. Right? Or maybe like you are the one who's soaking the dishes, and you're like saying like, "Oh, nice, I just got a free ride." Like I do is like pay the bill, like split it evenly. But with Broomies, that's not the case, and you get to kind of avoid that conflict. What we do is we have an algorithm where roommates will submit costs that they spent. So for example, if I bought like the couch, maybe the couch was like $250. I found it on like I found it on Facebook Marketplace or something, right? I'll add that transaction here, and it'll get added into our transaction log. And then afterwards, the amounts are distributed evenly based off of like whether or not you paid. So if I paid, I get money. If you didn't pay, of course, you don't get, you pay money. But it's also distributed based off of point totals. So if you've been doing most of the chores, and you've been like not missing any chores, and everyone's been doing that, then the points should be even, and you should be just getting a split evenly, cost split evenly. But if someone's been lacking behind, for example, in this case, it's Rustam, he'd be paying actually a larger percentage of the split costs. That way it's kind of distributed, no pun intended, distributed evenly. And yeah, you can see here that the
It's okay, we
performance
love
savings you
puns
get from the
here.
point total, and also what your roomies owe you. And then later on, I think we didn't end up getting it to it, but we'll have the ability to settle that bill, and which you'll also get a notification for here.
Nice.
I think that's kind of the main gist of the app. And then I'll
Yeah.
pass it on to both Gordon and Bruce to talk more about backend and design.
Yeah. So let's. So we'll. I got some
I can.
questions.
Do you want to share your Figma, Gordon, or?
Yeah, if you want to show anything, just let me know. I can switch to your screen. No, I think this is great. I had a rooming situation, and I had this crazy Google sheet that I created, and there was like a matrix where you could like look at the two, and then where it intersect, it was either a positive or a negative number, and you could see who owed you what, because I paid the cable bill and they paid this bill. But
Yeah.
this is fun. You know, not all
I feel like
gamification is great, but when it is good, it's great.
I feel like it's just better to leave it to the robot overlords to kind of like decide whether or not you pay. But yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the tech stack that you're using. So We'll figure out what that is, and then I'll probably have some more questions. But we'll kind of go like that instead of, this isn't your presentation at Hack the North. You have a lot more than 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll talk about kind of the front end, and then Rustam, you want to talk about the back end and kind of what you used. Yeah, so the front end's built on Expo. It's actually all of our first times building a mobile app.
Oh, really?
So we've never worked on React Native or Swift or any sort of like mobile coding language before. So this was a really eye-opening and like interesting experience, especially getting to implement a lot of the user flows and like functionalities that you see every day on a mobile app, whether that's like pull notifications or being able to like implement kind of like the scroll bars or like just anything regarding like mobile coding. And we kind of built this we're on the front end using like Expo Dev, which is like a framework for React Native.
Okay.
So yeah, it's built on the front end using React Native. And then
So
on
I
the,
never would have guessed that this was your first mobile app. So about how much time did you devote to kind of learning Expo, and then like what resources did you use?
yeah, I think regarding the front end and Expo, um,
Right.
thankfully we've all kind of like had experience doing like full stack web development, so React kind of transferred pretty easily over, and thankfully React Native is um, pretty like intuitive in terms of transferable skills.
Okay.
And then Expo was a little bit more of like a learning curve, but thankfully it was also really easy to just they had a really great like documentation on their own website.
Okay.
And I felt I didn't really need to like leave their website in terms of like getting set up or figuring out how to insert like custom modules. Like for example, with Google SSO, we need a specific plugin, which we have implemented, but unfortunately the functionality is not there. But all of that I found through their documentation. And then regarding like I guess the more mobile and like making things look kind of nice, I have to just give huge props to Gordon for making the designs really easy to follow. So all I kind of had to do was like figure out how to build like the bars here, but never like have to worry about like whether or not it looks good or like whether or not
And so
things
so
like that are
Gordon,
worry.
I think I heard that you used Figma to design it.
Yes,
Do
it's
you
all in
wanna
Figma.
do you have that available? Do you want to show that off and
I
just do a
do.
quick little talk through? So
Sure.
and then we'll go talk about the back end stuff.
Yeah.
But that's good to know because I'm getting ready to play with Expo as well. And the first time I did it, it was not friendly because it was like really early on in React Native. And so I'm glad that things have gotten better. Let's see, you are 4?
I think I have it shared. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so basically, this is what we worked on at Hack the North, but I kind of made a little bit of a touch up over time. But this is kind of how it looks like now. So Dennis was talking about the review feature. We kind of have that here where you can kind of click on the review in the notification section, and then that'll bring up this sort of pop-up where you can kind of review how well they did their chores. So you
So
can
you've already designed out some future features that you just didn't have time to implement.
yeah, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, if we were to take this on in the future, this is kind of what we would want to do. So yeah, you'd submit the review, and then that person on the receiving end can go check it out in their notifications and also view it. I didn't create a flow for that, but that will probably come soon. And then this is, Dennis already kind of showed it, but this is kind of like the layout for the weekly chores that everybody can see. And then these are your own chores that only you can see. And then this is the screen for creating a new chore, assigning the days, description, and then picking the difficulty level. And then over here, as you can see, is the expenses. So that's pretty much it. And again, didn't really want to spend too much time on the authentication, so I just created a simple one-piece login page, and that's about it.
I think
Yeah.
we need to like compile hackathon tips somewhere, and like that should be one of them. It's like don't spend too much time on auth, just fake it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I
and
know
then
as a judge for the CockroachDB stuff, Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what we're looking at, like whether it authenticates. But I will look, if you do like username and password authentication, I will look and see if your password is stored in plain text. Please don't do that.
For sure.
So is this your do you use Figma a lot? Is this your first time using Figma for a project?
This isn't my first time. So I'm actually in a club at UBC. So we're kind of like a tech club based in UBC.
Okay.
And we organize like 3 hackathons every year, kind of like what Hack the North does, except
Okay.
we do like 3 smaller ones. And so I've been on the design team for like a year and a half now. So
Oh.
I've gotten a bit more experience with Figma through that. So we kind of do more of the illustrations on the website, and I've also done a little bit of UX with the internal like management app that we have. So we also like scan hacker QR codes, kind of like again what they did at Hack the North, and
Mm-hmm.
then that kind of tracks down like the meals and everything. So I'd say I'm definitely still learning, and I still have a lot more to learn, but this is kind of the extent of my experience. So like around a year and a half of
That's
experience with Figma.
That's great. And so, Dennis, you were the
Yeah.
one that was looking at these designs and implementing them, right? Were you just kind of doing it by feel, or have you used Figma before? Did you use any of like the tools to kind of help you out?
Yeah. Regarding Figma, I think like I've had a couple internships where like I've worked with designers, so it's pretty intuitive as well. Isaac was also working on the front end, so him and I we actually met through work.
Okay.
So I think we all had experience kind of like translating Figma designs, and what's like kind of really nice about Figma is a lot of the styling is managed for you, where like you can kind of get that styling from Figma
Mm-hmm.
just like by looking at the designs, which is something that's I think like a big reason why Figma is pretty popular. So translating that, I've had kind of experience doing, but also I built like or like I didn't build, but I've had experience like working on like Figma as a like Figma plugin development and things like that. So um, working with Figma is like not foreign to me.
Awesome.
And those internships had you working on like web front end because you said that like this is your first mobile app.
Uh, yeah, both internships I worked on full stack development. Usually I like working on the back end, um, but I think like I know Rustam is extremely talented, so I kind of let him take the lead on that one here, and then I kind of focus more on the front end, which I think was also a really enjoyable experience. I think it was a really eye opening for like the speed and like the kind of efficiency you need to be able to do things as a front developer, especially in a time crunch. Um, yeah, but yeah, as full stack development, not web mobile, mostly web.
Yeah, the
Oh,
speed of these things has gone up so much. Sorry,
oh,
I keep interrupting, but
no, it's fine.
like back in like say 2017 or so, if someone was working on a mobile app for a hackathon, they would probably not use React Native as much and instead be like writing plain Swift or Java
Yeah,
for Android, and that would like take up so much more time. Requires all
yeah,
that context switching between programming languages, and now it's just like all of that is resolved and leads to projects
yeah.
like these. So it's great.
I think like to add on, I think it's especially like I know a problem with React Native is kind of like the scalability of it. But for like projects that are like sort of in a closed environment or something that needs like a POC right away, React Native is really intuitive, and especially Expo for like kind of use cases specifically like this.
Yeah.
I know like if you were like Google or Meta or something, you'd probably be using like an optimized environment, but yeah.
So real quickly, let me switch back over to here. Isaac has joined us. Welcome, Isaac. Sorry about it being so early for y'all. If you
No,
want
that
to
was
take,
completely my fault.
it's okay. If you want to take a second and introduce yourself, and then we'll continue on by talking about the backend.
Sure, yeah. So I'm currently a fourth year student, like many of my teammates here at UBC, studying computer science. And I'm currently interning at Boeing, working on LLMs. And for this project, I was mainly working on the front end side of it, along with Dennis. And yeah, I look forward to talking with everyone today.
Nice. Cool. So let's go back. So talking about the back end, what makes up the stack? So tell me what technologies that you used. And then if you have something to
for
share,
sure.
let me know.
I would rather not share my code with all the audience. If you want to find it, you can find it. Writing so much code under so much time pressure doesn't make you do good design decisions. Well, so for the backend, we use Go, and we use all the PG connectors, which CockroachDB is compatible with, which is great. And I had a lot of previous experience working with Postgres environments, and so the fact that a lot of language features have a parity, it's great and has been a great experience because of that. But other than that, yeah, we have a Go environment with Gorm as our ORM. I'm personally not the biggest fan of ORMs when it comes to taking projects slowly, but again, when you're under so much time pressure and you want to quickly design things, ORMs are great. And yeah, we use CockroachDB, and CockroachDB also provides some connectors and interfaces for Gorm to use more features that are more special to CockroachDB, which is also very useful. Yeah, and one other thing that I want to say, forgetting. Oh yeah, we're not storing password in plain text. We're not storing passwords at all.
we solved the password problem. We just don't store them, which I think is like what I think that's actually like the solution a lot of people are going to. It's like, yeah, we're not going to let your passwords get leaked. We're just not going to use them. We'll use the magic token or something like that, or we'll just use single sign-on and let somebody else worry about it. So you are using Go in your backend. With Gorm connecting to CockroachDB, you're exposing that as an API. What framework are you using for your API?
So again, I was using Gin, as Gin is very easy to build on top of. Usually when I build APIs in Go, I try to use Echo because it's very extensible and very modular, and I'm a big fan of it. But Gin is very easy to build upon, and again, under time crunch, we make decisions that are best here for that. But yeah, Gin is also a great environment. It's not as extensible or performant, but we'll have plenty of time to refactor that.
I know that
Yeah.
my colleague is a big fan of Fiber. So all the demos that he creates where there's a API connecting to the database, he uses Fiber. I'm not a Go
Yeah.
developer, but I'm not a Go developer,
I've-
but I work with them.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great things about Fiber, and it doesn't use standard HTTP library, which is sometimes an issue if you're building on top of things and using, I don't know, just things that use standard HTTP library in Go. But Fiber has a great performance that is better than the one the standard HTTP built-in library has, the code module. And yeah, what's else?
So you probably running this a lot locally, like during the hackathon. But did you deploy it? And if not, like where would you deploy this backend? How would you deploy it?
Yeah. So I would probably deploy it on AWS. I have experience with working with cloud and cloud with infrastructure and deploying things, so that wouldn't be too bad. And we use just ngrok exposing one single port to just host it locally while developing it and quickly change API locally, restart the application. Other people can. Yeah, it's great for prototyping and was very useful for that. But ideally, would like to deploy it on the cloud providers such as AWS. CockroachDB allows us to deploy it on either Google Clouds or AWS, which is a great feature, and allowing for multiple hyperscalers and big platforms like this is very useful. I would imagine for other people as well. Yeah.
So do you
But
deploy it like as a Docker image or?
oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
I'll probably just deploy it as a Docker image in good old EC2. Ideally, we'd probably have multiple environments and just run it like that. Configuring that would take some time, but on the bright side, once we configure that, CockroachDB has geospatial partitioning, which is great for data locality. So we'll be
There are
able
roommates
to
all over the world.
yeah, there are roommates all over the world indeed. Yeah, CockroachDB provides a lot of things and a lot of features that help developers as multi-zone availability and things like that, and just the fact that it's fully serverless. So building on top of that and deploying the application multiple environments would be a lot nicer because of that.
Yeah. So let's talk about how you used CockroachDB. Bilal, do you want to ask some questions about that? Because we looked through it all, and like we said in the beginning, we were pretty impressed. So do you want to ask them some things about that?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I turned off that camera.
He's like,
I was
no.
I'm a hideaway from all the Go RM stuff. So I mean, like, I think you said stuff about usually you're not a big fan of ORMs, but you felt like it was the best way to get started very quickly, and CockroachDB was very well interfacing with Go RM. So do you want to talk about what your usual hesitation from that is, and I guess what made you go against that in this case?
So my usual hesitations was ORMs. ORMs are great until you want to do something that is really annoying to do with ORM. Like we started facing it towards the end of the project, but doing nested multi-table joins in ORMs a lot of time is very annoying. And even if you set up all the relationships and like follow all the structure that ORM provides, a lot of time there'll be small things here and there, like setting up enums correctly, having default values on fields, and things like that. That gets really annoying to deal with once you get to more complex app structure. So if I'm working on a project that I will be working on for weeks to come, I probably would just avoid it altogether, so I wouldn't have to rely on somebody else's project to make sure that mine works.
Yeah, so you saying that you prefer the more hands-on, like I want to know what queries I'm running, I want to know what migrations are running
Exactly.
approach to backend development. Which I mean, I sympathize with you there. That makes a lot of sense. That's especially when you don't want to like dig into an ORM's code to figure out why something is the way it is. But I know you said that you don't want people looking through your code, but we looked through your code. And one of the things that we were pretty impressed by was that you had like, I think 8 or 9 tables. Like some of them were about features that you did not implement in the front end in the end. Like I think the reviews thing that you talked about, I see a table for that. But it is still like pretty impressive to see like that many complex relations. And I guess like that's one of the things that really stood out to us. So do you want to talk about what you prioritize there and like how you came up with the schema, for example?
Yeah, of course. So, like, whenever I have to design a schema, I first take a step back, think about what data we're having, how data is related to each other. So, for example, a household will have multiple people. Those people would have chores. Those chores would have instances that are recurring, things like that. And so would have notifications that are related to an event completion. Those notifications would be also used by user, and users can use those notifications. So we can see that it builds up on top of itself and things like that. So And I've taken databases classes in the past and worked with databases in my previous internships and just on the site as well. So I think I've learned a bit about how to design schema properly, all the relationships, how to make sure that I don't remember the correct name for it, that there is no data duplication and things like that.
Normalization.
Normalizations,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I think like to just add on to Roos, like as someone who's the actual like end user of or not the end user, but as someone who like uses the data that Roos stores, a great thing that I think like Roos has and like that like we kind of have is like communication regarding the schema and how data is stored. So like after we like scope it out at the very start before development, on like what kind of entities we want to have and what like relationships you want to like achieve. And then like those once like Bruce has kind of like the data structure set up, he'll just pass on the schema to me. So I know like right away like what I can work with, and like kind of like what areas that I can use versus what he needs to join or what he needs to do. And then like based off of that as well, we can like better design things to be either like relationships or just static fields for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I love bringing a database to a hackathon because like it's all like front loaded, and so we don't have to worry about like staying up all night with you on the last night to like last minute implement a database. So it's fun.
Yeah, we were actually like I was actually going to ask a question about that, which is like how did you split up like ownership and tasks in working on your backend versus front end and stuff like that? It seems like between Dennis and Rose, it seems like y'all split it up with Bruce owning the schema, and then he would pass it on to Dennis or some others. And then do you want to elaborate on how you did that splitting of ownership and tasks?
Yeah, so I'll be honest, I'm not the best UI dev. I'll say that I have some experience working with UI, so I knew that I won't be nearly as efficient or good at developing good UI as Dennis or Isaac. I can, but I'll be moving really slowly, which is not the best thing to do at the hackathon. However, I think I'm more proficient with backends and I can type things out pretty quickly and I know my things there. So we decided in the beginning of the project, before we even start with anything, we just said, oh, I'll just do this. I'll pass you a schema. Everything will be great. Let's just do this. And when working on Hackathon, a lot of work is related to UI and just UX and making sure that user has the best experience and like data is fetched correctly, it's updated correctly, everything works nice together, and things like that. So there is for sure a lot more work in the front end when we're talking about the simple API that we have. We have some features that are less simple, like some small gritty algorithms to decide who gets which chores and how do they get reassigned. But yeah, and those things were not nearly as much work as all the UI-centric work. So I just picked that up and went on with it.
Yeah. I think as well, like when you're building like a mobile app or any sort of like more like application-based software in a hackathon, like it's a lot better to have I guess ownership for the backend based on just like maybe like one person, maybe two people, but usually like having ownership of the backend is a lot easier to manage with one person, just because with the front end it's easier for either Isaac and I to just push like if like we have a design already from Gordon, we can kind of like figure out like what we can do and then piece them together like Lego. Whereas for the backend, it's a lot more like flexible. Like we need an end goal. The solution's up to Rustam. And like if he has someone else who maybe has a different coding like style or approach on how to manage a data structure, it's cause a lot more friction when you're like in like a 24-hour environment on like how to actually determine like what to do with data or what to process on an endpoint. So that was also a factor that came into like making sure we do things as efficiently as possible.
I've definitely been a hacker in some teams where we had more people working on back end than front end, and the front end would never get to a point where like it would be able to connect with the backend. So it would be a lot of like wasted work, and your demo doesn't look that great. So it's great that y'all realize that coming off that you're building a mobile app or a mobile first app, and split things up accordingly. Adrian, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah. So I think one thing that we wanted to ask about real quick, we're running short on time, but if you want to go into how you did the assignment of the tasks, and then we'll start wrapping up.
All right, I'll try to be quick with this. So everybody has points, everybody has tasks that they're already assigned, and we know how hard those tasks are. So we have a nice gray algorithm that picks up all the tasks assigned for the user, puts them into buckets, we go through them, see how much tasks are assigned to each person this week. We decide which person is missing some tasks, they get some tasks, and most of the time, the task will be assigned when either something is completed or a new chore is created, so we wouldn't have to go through all the data sets at once. So we have can make some assumptions there about what we already computed. That is basically it. We just go through data and make sure that it's fairly distributed.
And just like for the people who can't see your code right now, like what did that entail, like on the database side, like the queries?
So yeah, that's a great question. On the database side, we have some aggregations or some groupings to grab data per user.
I think Rustam is.
Yeah, I think we might have lost.
I think you might have your mic when I cut out.
Yeah, sorry. I think my headphones died, so I had to take those out.
All right, my headphones actually died just now as well. Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So.
Awesome. Yeah.
No, I guess.
That was it was really impressive queries that we were seeing. Anything that you wanted to say about those, Bilal?
No, I mean, I think it was just pretty impressive that the schema like had them using the benefits of a relational DB well, and then coming up with those good queries. But I guess like Rose was talking about, his DB course prepared him well for that. I guess I could make a joke about how a lot of people learn SQL before they get to a DB course, but it seems like in this case a DB course was pretty helpful. So I'm sure some professor somewhere at UBC is going to be happy to hear that.
Yeah. Hey, if you have available to you in your course selection a DB course, definitely take it. I'm finding more and more that schools have like them as electives, and not everybody takes it. And if you want to work at some of the big companies, especially big companies that use CockroachDB, it's going to help. And then also, like, you can speak that data nerd language that just sounds like static to me sometimes. But yeah. So one last question, because I didn't even ask this at the beginning, but now that you're all together, how did you decide to work together? Was this something before you headed out to Hack the North, because you're at the University of BC in British Columbia, and you made the trek all the way over to Waterloo to do this hackathon. So were you a group before you got there, or did you just, I guess you didn't happen to just find each other?
I guess I can quickly take this one. So I was kind of the one who kind of asked everyone if they wanted to be a team, like a group for this hackathon. And we knew we wanted a group before we went, because that would just solve a bunch of headaches and dealing with maybe like strangers or people you're not comfortable with and familiar with before. Mm-hmm. So Roos, for example, I've actually known him since second year. We've just been friends through like courses and like mutuals that we met
Nice.
at school. And then Dennis, I actually worked with earlier at Conrad Group. So we know each other from that. And then Gordon, I guess, was kind of a stranger at first because we knew we wanted a designer for our fourth member since we had like 3 devs. And we didn't really know who to look for. So I asked one of our mutual friends, shout out Taryn. She kind of referred me to Gordon here, and they work together at NW Plus, where Gordon's a designer. So
Nice.
that's how the team was kind of formed.
Nice. And then, like, when you formed the team, did you know that like you were interested in making a mobile app, or did that just kind of come together during ideation on site?
No, that was all on site. Like
Okay.
last minute, we had an idea and we just went for it.
Yeah, true hackathon style. Well, thank you for getting up early for us and being on here. Before we go, let's go around the table one more time. And if you want to shout out your LinkedIn, if you are looking for an internship, if you're looking for something full time, like let us know, so the people out there can see. And if you like, we can even link your LinkedIn's afterwards. So, Dennis.
Yeah. Again, thank you for the opportunity to talk and kind of present our app. We never really thought I would get this far in terms of like how successful our Hack the North experience was. So it's really great and awesome experience. In terms of internships, I am actively looking for summer internships, and maybe one day I'll be working at CockroachDB, but like that's an aspiration. And then for summer internships, and I'll be graduating in 2025. And yeah, my LinkedIn is just Dennis Lee, my name. I can send it to you. Feel free to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rustam.
So again, as Dennis said, thank you for providing this opportunity to speak here about our app, and just for an awesome time at Hack the North. Other than that, I'm also looking for summer internships. My LinkedIn is also just my name, last name. My surname is quite hard to pronounce. It's Nasirov in my native tongue. So I share that with Bilal, I guess. But other than that, I'll be happy to leave my LinkedIn later for people to connect with me.
Great. Gordon.
Yep. So again, thank you so much. I said I was a little nervous coming on, but I definitely got a lot more comfortable as time went on. LinkedIn is Gordon Wu. I am actively looking for spring, summer, winter 2024 internships, and I will be graduating in May. So yeah.
Nice. Are you looking for something more design, or are you just gonna go like full out chemistry?
I haven't really touched the chemistry side very much, but probably like, product design, UI, UX,
Nice.
anything along those lines. Yeah.
And then Isaac.
Yep. Thank you for having us on today. I'm sorry for kind of being a bit late earlier, but I am actively looking for 2024 summer internships. And my LinkedIn will be Isaac Zhu.
Nice. And just to reiterate, the part that you did on the project was
the front end.
the front end. Cool.
Yeah.
So you did some of the screens along with Dennis.
Yeah. So the components, the screens, and the
Nice.
flows. Yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming on. This is fun. This is the first time that we've had a winning hacking team on, and we hope to do it more in the future. That is all for this week. We will be back in 2 weeks because this is it bi-weekly? That means every other week and twice a week, right? So we are every other Friday. We will be here for distributed tea time. Rob will be back next week. We are working on some nice stuff. It was Roach Fest this week, and so I got to chat with some of our customers, and there was a lot of inspiring things happening. But yeah, so we'll be back in 2 weeks. Look for us on the YouTube channel whenever we schedule that. But yeah, congratulations all. I hope you enjoy your gift cards, and don't scare too many people with your with your Roach trophy. Any departing words, Bilal?
Thank you all for coming on, even though it was at like 6 a.m. for y'all in Vancouver. It was nice to chat about how your hacking experience was, and I hope like all our viewers got to learn about how to optimize their 36 hours and how to use CockroachDB well. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you all being on. And
Yes.
thanks Adrian for having me, Bilal.
Yeah. And we hope that you continue to work on this. I think this is a cool idea, and I like jotted down some ideas for like the greater Broomies universe. If you decide to go back to it, but we can talk about that later. Until next time, as we say here, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Bye, y'all.